guys.
Okay, 1 second.
Guys are getting this down. Let me know if I'm ready. Everybody good? Good afternoon. I'm Jack Stollsteimer, the District Attorney of Delaware County. I'm joined by the chiefs of both East Lansdowne and Lansdowne, and the mayors of both of these towns as well, and my Chief County Detective, Jim Nolan. With a heavy heart, we can announce today that we have recovered 3 more bodies this morning. We think we have found everybody who was in that house. The Lay family, we think we have recovered all members of that family, and I want to give you an update on where things are going to stand. So at this point, there is no other search going on inside the building. We're trying to make sure the building is secure. We're going to be turning it over to the East Lansdowne officials as soon as possible for destruction and to make that area safe. At this point, the investigation moves to the Chief Medical Examiner of Delaware County. They have taken custody of all 6 bodies that have been recovered. I want to thank Chief Nolan and CID, the Criminal Investigation Division of the DA's office, have done incredible work handling this crime scene and recovering those bodies. I was with them yesterday when they pulled 2 of those bodies out. It is gruesome work, and they did a fantastic job. Now our Chief Medical Examiner is doing his part of the job. The first thing he's going to try to do is determine who these people are. He has to identify them using whatever means that are available, including DNA and dental records, and then he's going to try to determine the manner and cause of death. Our assumption is that they were shot by gunfire and then there was a fire set, but we have no idea whether or not that's true. So again, the medical examiner is going to try to determine that. He tells me from talking to him yesterday there are tests he can run to determine whether people were alive at the time the fire was set or whether they were already deceased, and he will be looking for bullet wounds as well in what remains of the bodies. And I will tell you again from seeing it firsthand, these are charred remains. They are unrecognizable human beings. Not only was there an intense fire, but the building collapsed on these folks as they were in there. One of whom we believe is the shooter. I think his name is Con Lay. We knew from information provided by the grandparents early on in the investigation that he was the suspect for at least shooting one of the nieces, one of his nieces, which is unbelievable to be able to say. I was trying to shield the grandparents from all of you, quite frankly, because they were going through an incredible trauma that I still can't imagine. They have literally lost everything they have. They've lost everybody they loved, and they've lost their home. And they've been trying to deal with that for the last couple of days, and they seem to be just people who are in utter shock, as I think all of us would be. So at this point, we're going to wait for the Chief Medical Examiner's report. If Mr. Lay, who we believe to be the shooter, if the torso recovered with the firearm is in fact him, the criminal investigation will be closed because we will have found the person we believe at least killed one person in this home and probably killed all the others himself. At that point, there is still a little bit of paperwork that has to go on. My Special Investigations Unit will do their work just to determine all the facts that would happen here that night, and every officer who discharged their weapon will be interviewed. Of course, everyone who discharged a weapon was completely justified in doing so. But we are law enforcement agencies. We have to have all the paperwork to document everything we've done. We're also going to make sure if there's any lessons to be learned, they can be learned through this process, this horrible, unspeakable tragedy has taken place here in East Lansdowne. I want to thank every single law enforcement agency in this region who has offered their support. Not only the Delaware County agencies who have been picking up patrols and doing other things for Lansdowne and for East Lansdowne, who are both, by the way, still short one police officer. But the state police who have guarded the site, my colleague Chris, the new DA of Chester County, he reached out to offer help. Michelle Henry, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, made sure that whatever resources that we needed, they had. I heard from the governor last night, making sure that I knew that he had Delco's back in whatever we needed. We just heard from Senator Casey's office, so the feds have been helpful as well. Every resource we've needed from our Department of Emergency Services, I cannot forget everything that they've done to be out here supporting us in this massive 2-day effort. Hopefully, at some point soon, the community is going to be able to begin the healing process for what happened here. Part of that is going to be when we're able to finally remove ourselves from that property, and East Lansdowne can take back custody of the property, demolish the home, move on to whatever the future is for that property. But the only good news here today is that we are bringing home Delco's other hero this afternoon. We're looking forward to go back into Philadelphia. You know, for Delco people to go into Philadelphia, it takes a lot. But we deeply appreciate all of the wonderful care Penn Presbyterian has given to our officers. They have been fabulous in helping us and making sure that these officers are safe. We really hope to be able to get him home this afternoon. I think we'll be out there probably around 2 or 3 o'clock for the same kind of ceremony to bring him home. But at this point, this scene, there's just going to be cleanup going on. You don't need to be here. There's no more crime-solving activities going on here today. We're trying to make it secure, do the follow-up work that we need to do to make sure that we can get ourselves out of here and return this community. And I do want to thank, Chief and the Mayor, want to make sure the community, this community, Delaware County community, has been fabulous. They have reached out to all of us, just regular people who cared about the police officers who were hurt and who cared about this family who was going through incredible grief. They've offered everything from food and help and just incredible. We really are a family here in Delaware County. And I think on behalf of all of us, we want to thank the residents of East Lansdowne and the residents of Delaware County. And if you have any questions, I can...
How do you include or make it positive, how do you firm up that investigation that ties this crime to a particular person? Like, what would you do to make your case shut?
So we have, if he is the individual that the grandmother, who is his mother, identified as shooting her granddaughter, the case is closed as long as he is one of the deceased individuals. Okay. Hold on. At that point, there is no more criminal prosecution needed. Okay. We know people died because a fire was caused here. If he also killed them by gunfire, that just adds to the trauma, but it doesn't change the dynamic. As long as the shooter, who we believe started this whole series of tragic events, is dead, it's a closed criminal matter.
What made you assume that they were killed
Hold on
by
1 second.
gunfire?
No motive at all.
And what made you assume that they were killed by gunfire? You said you made.
I didn't make the assumption, except that, I'm sorry if I did. What we've heard, you know, obviously you heard the reports that there was multiple gunshots. In fact, the 911 call that came in, people could hear gunfire. My, again, assumption is that the fire was started at some point after he probably killed members of the family. I could be completely wrong. The medical examiner is going to try to determine how they died, if they died by gunfire or if they died by smoke inhalation and burning. Those two are two different. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It may matter to the grandparents, and we're trying to give them closure. But I just think that that's an assumption that will be tested by whatever the chief medical examiner. Sorry if I, Chris, if I misspoke. 1 second, Vinny, 1 second. Okay. So one officer was shot in the leg. One officer was shot in the forearm. The officer who was shot in the forearm, who was being released today, John Meehan, had both serious injuries. I mean, people put holes. This guy put holes in their bodies in places they weren't supposed to have holes. Okay, so both of them took serious traumatic injuries. John took a little bit more. More surgery was involved. We're really hopeful and thankful that he's getting out. Hopefully today, assuming the doctors release him, and then we'll be able to welcome him back home. Vinny.
Jack, did the family, in conversations with you or law enforcement, give any insight as to the moments that led up to the shooting? Any sense of an argument or dispute?
Not really. I mean, they were shocked. First of all, they're in shock, period. Trying to talk to them, people who are just numb and overcome with grief and shock is a traumatic experience. I was trying to talk to them a little bit yesterday. Detective Murphy from CID talked to them at length. They don't really have any idea. He just went haywire, and she left the home. Grandfather picked her up. They go into safety, and they try to get police here to deal with the situation.
Is that gun registered to him? Did he own that gun?
Don't know. The gun that we've recovered is a rifle. It's melted at some level. Again, it was Inferno. Sure. Okay, so all of that stuff is for later. Sure. We're not going to trace the weapon until we get past today's stage. Today, we're just trying to make sure that we get our officer home, get these bodies to the medical examiner, and get this community back to some level of normalcy, which is a long way from there.
Will neighbors be able to get into their homes?
As soon as we get out of here, okay, so we got to get all that equipment there. We got to get the criminal equipment out, the law enforcement stuff. Then we've got to make sure that, are they knocking down?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're knocking down the building right now. They're in that process, right? Because we can't leave the structure the way it is. We were afraid it could fall on the investigators. So once they make it safe, and that will be the mayor and police chief's call, then they'll open up the street again.
What Mayor plan?
Nothing that I'm aware of that would lead to any kind of event like happened here.
Terroristic threats?
I've heard that. Honestly, Chris, I haven't paid any attention at all to the guy's criminal record.
There's another house that was affected. What resources are available for neighbors who aren't able to get into their homes, homes damaged by the fire, that kind of thing?
If there's damage by the fire, I'm sure the borough officials will be available to offer some help, and we can always, victims assistance available assistance is available as well.
Jeff, what can you tell us about where the bodies were found in the house?
Well, this is the thing. The house collapsed, right? So wherever they were when they were in the house could be different from where they ended up because the roof and the floors collapsed. So when I was there yesterday, they were removing bodies from what I would call the middle to the back end of the house. But again, I don't know where they were at the time. I don't think any of us are ever going to be able to completely reconstruct what happened at the moment. Again, we're trying to get the cause of death first, right? First, we need to ID these people, make sure we've got everybody accounted for in the family, and the guy we think is the killer of at least one person. At that point, it's no longer a criminal matter, and we're just trying to make sure that whatever evidence we can get to share with the family, share with the community.
And based on what you saw, can you piece together what?
I can't. I can just tell you again that the roof and the floors collapsed. So the bodies that I saw them pull out there, they were under mounds of debris, okay? But they were in what I would call the middle to the back end of the house. But they were digging in the ground and got these people out. You couldn't even tell what the debris was. There were parts of the bodies I couldn't tell what they were, whether that was clothing that was attached or other items. I mean, these are people who, their bodies were put through an intense inferno. So the whole house collapsing on them doesn't help us figure out where they were, nor at some point do we care.
Jack, can you, as chief law enforcement officer of Delaware County, that's one thing, but have you stopped and kind of thought about the trauma that has happened here? Officers shot, 6 people no longer here. Some of what has gone through your mind, if you've stopped at all?
Yeah, great question, Joe. You know, for me personally, you lean on your faith, right? And for me, I'm comforted by the fact that I believe that those poor victims, especially those children, are in a far better place now. I need to believe that. And I also believe that if this man did shoot his family, which is a horrible evil I can't even begin to comprehend, I hope that the Sisters of Mercy at St. Denis taught me the truth, and that he is going to spend the rest of his life suffering in hell for what he did. This is just a horrendous thing. But I do want to say, from a law enforcement perspective, we see evil all the time. Most of what we see in the criminal justice system are people who are dysfunctional. They do harm to themselves, they do harm to others around them, and it's because of some issues in their lives. But there is a small number of people that I've encountered in my 10 years as a prosecutor who are just truly evil people, and they need to be held accountable. I think our good Lord is holding this man accountable. I can't imagine what the grandparents. I don't know how you deal with this. I honestly don't. I can't imagine if I lost my own children, let alone losing my children and grandchildren. Unspeakable.
Can we hear from the mayor just
Sure.
on the community impact? I know you've lost 6 residents, Mayor. I can't imagine what you and your community are going through. Could you give us a little perspective of how you're dealing with this and how you're wrapping your arms around this neighborhood?
We're in pain. We're hurting. We are a close-knit community. For those of you who have followed us through our 4th of July parades and through our community events, I've seen these kids walk to and from school. I've seen these kids at our community events. East Lansdowne is in pain. And I don't know how we're going to heal. I don't know. But, that process, we have to begin that process now that we've recovered those babies and their parents. So it's a great question, but we are hurting. We're in pain. We are in pain. and it's time for us to come together and pull our resources to, help our community and hopefully begin the healing process.
Mayor Bland, what words do you have for the school district? The kids lost some of their friends.
Right now, we'll be, now that this part of the ordeal is over with, we'll begin to have those conversations with the school district to, again, start the healing process. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. All right. Thank you, guys.
This is a question for either chief, but the two officers who were shot on Wednesday, within 2 days, they're going to be released from the hospital, the second one today. Just speak about how big of a deal it is that they're going to be okay and on the road to recovery.
Come on.
So, we had a procession for the my Lansdowne officer yesterday, and it could have been a completely different procession, and I'm glad it wasn't. He went home. He's recovering at home. Hopefully he makes a full recovery. But that event affects my whole department and Chief Zimmer's whole department also. We're small town police, community police, and when a major event like this happens, we got together. We really have. The community outpouring resources from other police departments, state police, the feds, everybody stepped in and basically grabbed myself and Chief Zimmer. What do you need? That's all we kept hearing for the last 3 days. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And that was overwhelming. But working as a team with CID, we got through it. We're getting through it. But this is only the beginning. We're going to have to recover.
Yeah, echo the statements of Chief Rutherford. Without the support of our local, state, federal partners and all these local departments around us, they come to help us, whatever we need. We have other departments patrolling our towns while this tragedy is going on. We have a big scene down here. It took us, as you see, immense time and resources away from the streets and providing for the community. That's why these other towns step in. That's what we do around here. Everybody helps one another.
And on that note, we're going to go back to work, finish up here, dismiss all of you. Thank you all for coming. If you want to join us, I think we're going to the hospital, right, around 2, and hopefully they're going to release him around 3, right, between 2 and 3, so don't miss it. Delco's second hero coming home. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
$10 a month, cancel anytime. That's right. We've dropped our enrollment fee to just $1, so it's easy to get in and get energized. Never intimidating. Always free fitness training. Equipment for every workout. Don't miss